It is March 2021, and there's a lot of unknowns still in our industry. But a couple things that are for certain is that first, we have all just logged our first year doing business during a global pandemic. And the second is that we have either dealt with or are going to deal with product shortages, as this is a problem that is going to get worse before it gets better. If you or your company do not have a plan of how to operate under these new circumstances, then we are here to help. On this episode, we're going to provide you with steps and strategies of how to overcome these challenges and to best position yourself for tomorrow, as together we are building the future.
This is the Building the Future podcast. I am your host, the lumberjack, Brett Thorne. On this show, we explore topics including construction, building materials, real estate, remodeling, the housing market, industry news, new products and trends, technology, government, everything you need for building the future. Welcome back to the Building the Future podcast. I am your host, Brett Thorne. And as we are rolling through this new year 2021, we've obviously undergone a lot of changes in our industry and a lot of industries with everything that we've experienced in the last 12 months. And one of those issues that just continues to raise its ugly head is product shortages. And it's just been an ongoing thing. Every time we start to gain a little traction, we start to slip further and further back, it seems like. So I reached out to an individual I've had on the show before that actually cut his industry teeth on the manufacturing side. And he is well versed in handling product shortages and dealing with shortages positively. Back with me today from Shift Sales Training and Consultant, Mr. Tom Zimmerman. Welcome back to the show.
Brett, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate it.
Well, Tom, what I want to do today is I really want to get into our topic. But if anybody would like to find out more about Tom, you can go back and check out episode number 15, where Tom and I talked about product launch, and you can find out more of his background. So with that being said, Tom, obviously you have dealt a lot with, and you've actually put together an article on sales strategy for managing product shortages.
I did, Brett. As I looked into the industry, the first conversation we had back in that first episode, or episode for me, episode 15, was on product launches. And at the time, hey, product launches were something that how do we do this? How do we replicate it and have great success at it? And right around that time, we started facing challenges with getting enough product. And it's something that, maybe a salesperson deals with an allocation on a product or a brand. But how do they deal with allocations or product shortages when it is industry-wide? I don't care if it's roofing, siding, insulation, framing material. It's impacting us every time we turn around. And if we're not prepared to handle it, man, it can just be another day in the coal mine and just another day of humping it without much return on the other end. So how do we manage that? And how do we equip our teams to be able to succeed in these environments?
And why is it so important to handle shortages positively? What are the negative effects and the impacts that can happen to companies or the market or to even sales reps if they don't handle shortages in a positive manner?
Yeah, God, Brett, the implications of that are grand. They can't be understated. As a manufacturer, one of the worst things that I could ever do for my channel, my distributors or my lumber dealers or my one-steppers, what have you, is if I gave them a reason to tell their customers to go somewhere else. Now you have a customer, a builder, a remodeler who is loyal to you, and you've just invited them to go seek products from someone else, someone to get into their business, and someone where maybe they're going to quote against you. Maybe they're going to find that they like their service better. So you see that customer go away. If you don't handle it effectively or handle it positively, people don't always remember what you do. They remember how you made them feel. So if you made someone feel slimy or, kind of not good about how you handled a situation, the likelihood of getting them back is much more difficult. So how you handle these adverse times really predicates or dictates rather what's going to happen to you in the future. Whether it's your customers, your reputation, your integrity, your ability to not only maintain today's sales, but plan for tomorrow's sales as well.
Okay. And as you're working through some of these situations, obviously, it's important to understand the causes of these shortages. Number one, it can help you remedy kind of the situation you're in, but then also more for long term, it can help you hopefully avoid some of these things in the future. Now, in your article, you broke it down to 5 key points to focus on when working through product shortages. I want to take each one of those, Tom, and I want to pick each one apart. So let's start right at the top. Your very first one is mindset matters. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when you get into the idea of mindset matters, there's a quote that I've really enjoyed from Henry Ford, and it comes down to whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And if you know that your job is to go sell things to customers, hey, you have product and you want to get it to your customer and solve their problem, man, you sold and you brought value and you achieved and accomplished what you set out to do as a salesperson. But when you can't deliver for them, there's things that are blocking you from doing your job. Never mind the obstacles of competition, price, timing, all the situations a salesperson faces every day. Now you can't even get product. How are you supposed to keep your customers happy and sell them things when you can't even get them the product? So the mindset that you have to have of, hey, I'm going to go succeed every day versus the, hey, I'm going to go put in a solid 8, 10, 12 hours today and know that the likelihood of satisfying my customers isn't going to happen, man, that can be pretty mentally challenging. So having that right mindset, so many books are written on motivation, sales psychology, for a sales manager to keep their team motivated and encouraged, and that comes through to your customers. Is this guy having a good day? Is he having a bad day? Is he on point or not? But that really sets the course for, are you going to be able to take care of your customers and take care of their problems? Starts between your ears with your mindset.
Okay. So having a good positive mindset, even in a bad situation, but maybe more importantly, not talking yourself out of it, staying ahead, staying in front of your customers. Do not avoid them. Do not avoid the situation.
Yes, definitely don't avoid the situation. I can think back early in my career, and I think about a very specific rep that was in our industry, and her product was on allocation, and she was a seasoned professional. And she was walking into a lumberyard, and she had that token box of donuts with her. But she looked at me and she said, Zim, you got to stay in front of them. Even though it's a bad situation, you can't hide from them. You got to stay in front of them. Because if you are out of sight, you are out of mind. And they will remember that person just ran and hid and they didn't address what I needed to have happen. You can't sit there and think, oh, feel sorry for yourself. You have to go out there and face the adversity. Your customers will recognize and appreciate your presence and focus and acknowledging them. Keep in mind with yourself, you are not the problem. But if you don't address the problem, you are part of the problem. But if you get out there and address it and communicate it and show face and show your customers the worth and appreciation you have for them, you can be a part of the solution.
Okay. And addressing it, that brings up your second point, minimizing surprises. Tell us a little bit more about that, Tom.
There's an adage a lot of times in sales that no news is good news. And that's something that salespeople tell themselves to avoid the word no. And a lot of salespeople think the worst thing a customer can tell them is no. No, I'm not going to buy from you. No, I don't accept your proposal. So, hey, no news is good news. They haven't told me no. Well, in this situation, no news isn't good news. No news is terrible news. When you're facing a situation, the longer it takes you to tell your customer that they can't get the product they order or the product they expect from you in the time frame in which they expect it, the less time they have to plan and the greater the ramifications of the problems with your product and your service. So there again, by not handling a situation and by bringing on surprises to your customers, and doing it with no time to spare creates bigger issues. So bad news is bad enough. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I can't get your product. But you have a week and a half to plan to figure something else out is a lot better than, hey, I knew a week and a half ago and I'm just now telling you. That does yourself a disservice. And again, you are not the problem, but your lack of actions or lack of communications can actually make you bigger than the problem itself. So I think of it as, don't leave them at the altar. So you want to minimize those surprises. And there are things that you can do proactively. So if your customer is looking to place an order for, pick a brand of shingles in a certain color, you may want to tell your customer, hey, our industry's in some challenges right now, and there's a likelihood that lead times are going to get pushed out on this product. So I'll place the order for you. What's critical, that you have it in 30 days, that it's this brand, or that it's that color? Because if I can't get it for you, what's your second or third option so I can fulfill what you need? So when you set that expectation up front, the likelihood of them being surprised and not being prepared to solve the solution goes down.
Okay. So being proactive, staying as far ahead of this as you can, and then setting potential and realistic expectations.
Correct. Throughout my entire career, I have walked into so many appointments for a variety of reasons where the customer may be disappointed with the news I'm going to bring them, whether it's a price increase, a product discontinuation. Hey, we're parting ways with you as a customer. But as long as, for the most part, we're dealing with business people. Some are more emotional than others, but as long as you're not springing on a surprise, and again, leaving them at the altar. If you're letting them know that, hey, this may happen, this can occur, these are the circumstances, and you're treating them fairly, they tend to respect it. They may not love it, but they respect it, and they know that you're a professional that they want to work with.
You can't just send them a text.
That's up to you. You could.
I like your analogy of leaving them at the altar. One point I heard a guy say, the only job of the best man is to provide the groom with the way out. So when you say leaving them at the altar, I'm just looking, where's the best man at?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You need a best man on this deal.
that analogy plays out so well. And if you think about it, take that, leave them at the altar. If you and your fiance aren't going to get married, how much less does it cost you if you guys decide that 90 days out? If you decided the night before, who all's impacted? Everyone that showed up, the caterer, the musician, the DJ, that costs a whole lot more. Whereas if you give them time to plan. So hopefully your best man's around at that time too.
And that brings us up to point 3, which is don't accept silence.
Yeah, this almost echoes that whole idea of no news is good news. In my opinion, when you're dealing with a customer and you ask them for a sale, the best thing they can tell you is, yes, I'm going to buy your product. The next best thing they can tell you is, no, I'm not going to buy your product, because that gives you the opportunity to say, why not? What else do I need to do? Or how do we remedy this? And the worst thing they can tell you is nothing. When you simply inform your customer, hey, I know you're expecting this load of shingles on Thursday or next week or 2 weeks out, but it's not going to come in then. Don't let them just absorb that information. Don't assume they're accepting it. Get them to tell you yes or no. Because if they tell you that doesn't work for me, you have a path, you have an opportunity to help them overcome it, find alternative solutions, or help them out of a tough situation. They're going to tell you, yeah, it's fine, or I have to move things around and that will work. And if they tell you no, you know specifically and you can start going to work on fixing it. But if they just absorb it and they don't commit yes or no, essentially you don't re-close the sale, they haven't made that commitment to you. They may hang up the phone and call your competitor. They may hang up the phone and call 3 other people, and they haven't verbally committed to you, again, reclosing the sale with you. Now, it could happen, but the likelihood of them giving you their word that it's okay, I'll deal with it, or I can't live with that, I need to figure something else out, that gives you the opportunity to spring into action. So don't just say, hey, this is going to be late, and hurry up to get off the phone with them. Get them to say, yeah, that's okay. So ask them, how do you want to proceed? They may say, well, what other options do I have? They may say, yeah, it'll be fine, no big deal. It's going to rain next week, or I'm running into delays anyway. Or they may tell you, no, I can't live with that. I have to call someone else. But that way, they don't surprise you, and it gives you a chance to continue to go to work and bring value for them. But if they don't make that commitment to you, you're never going to know, and they may be hanging up the phone and calling someone else. And the ultimate goal is to keep them in your camp.
And I like how you phrase that as to resell them because, in the sales, you ask them for the sale. In this, like you said, you're asking, you need to pose that not just as a statement, but a statement followed by a question, or maybe just a question to begin with, to ask them for their confirmation. Will that work? Ask them for their commitment. Will you commit to that? Or even ask them, maybe if they can't, ask them for their guidance to say, okay, what else can I do if that is unacceptable? What else would you accept in replacement of that or as an alternative to that? So basically, asking them, not telling them.
Correct. You want to ask for them to essentially recommit. When you have to let them know that there's an allocation, a shortage, a delay, you need them to recommit that, yes, that's okay with me, or XYZ. They'll give you some sort of answer. But, it's kind of funny. When you walk into the car dealership to buy a car, you're nervous you may not get that car you want, whereas that salesperson's doing it every day. So you're walking in with this apprehension and you're not comfortable. Put yourself in the salesperson's shoes. They don't want you to walk out the door. They're just as nervous that you're going to turn and go to the dealership down the street, go to the tent sale around the corner, or buy from someone else. Well, here, if you're approaching this thinking, gosh, my customer's going to be really mad at me, and I just have to let him know this news and hurry up and get off the phone, that lack of confidence shows through. There's a lot to be said when a builder, remodeler, or a customer of any sort actually commits to you and says, yeah, I can work with that. That limits them from hanging up the phone and saying, hey, I need to do something else.
So that kind of takes you from the level of being just a salesman to more being a business partner, or maybe in this case, being a consultant, which is point number 4, be a consultant.
Yeah. So there's a lot of salespeople out there. They think that their job is to go, in our industry, sling lumber, right? Talk about features, advantages, and benefits of the product. When you're a consultant, you're not just talking about the features and advantages and benefits of the product. Rather, you're understanding the implications to the customer. The customer may just think about, hey, I need this color on this house. But then you need to understand, what does that mean to them? What are the other factors? So again, what are those implications? So if they're starting to show you some concern about that delivery, or you can't fulfill it, but you may have another solution, don't make it simply about the product. Make it about what else happens to them. So what happens next? What else is impacted if this happens? What happens if we just don't get you that color, but I can put you in this other option and get it to you in the right time frame? What else is impacted? Is it delays in your project? Is it a delay in the certificate of occupancy? Does it no longer go to close? Is the homeowner going to kick you off the project? And help them understand what it means to them. That way, they may come off the, hey, I can't get the product for 30 days, but you can get me this other one next week. You're solving a bigger problem for them. But it's not just about the product. It's about how it impacts their business. And odds are, they'll reveal needs to you. They'll reveal other areas. They'll reveal opportunities of how else you can help them that maybe you haven't thought of or you're not currently servicing them on. So don't just take it as the face value for the product you're selling, but you want to understand what it means to the builder, what it means to their business, what it means to their project, who else is impacted, and what is that costing them.
So you need to be informed and potentially need to be innovative to help find solutions for them.
Correct. You want to get to your customer and say, hey, this product delivery may be the tip of the iceberg. What all is going on below the water level that this issue is creating? And when you seek to understand that, your customer then understands, wow, this person understands my business. They care about me. And then you can help them identify what's more important: time frame, warranty, color, brand, price. Hey, I can get you this next one and get it sooner. It's going to be 15% higher, but you don't have to go somewhere else. You don't have to establish a new account. Your project gets completed on time and you're able to fulfill bigger needs. But if you don't know those needs, there's no way you can provide the value.
And that all complements right in with your fifth and final point of handling shortages, which is play the long game.
Yep. It really comes down to, why is your customer doing business with you? Hopefully they're buying for you for more reasons than simply price. Because if you win them on price, you're going to lose them on price. But if you're bringing more to them besides material on a truck at a low price, you're a resource to their business. How do you continue to fulfill that value proposition when you can't fill their orders? Well, are you a resource for them? Are you helping educate them on other products, on other services? Are you making it easy for them to buy? Are you providing a different level of service for them? Maybe the guy down the street can get them the shingles, but you offer rooftop delivery. So go to your manager and say, hey, I want our truck to go down the street and pick it up so we can still offer this guy rooftop delivery. He'll remember it. I think back, I say that when the bubble burst in 06, 07, 08, those glory days for our industry that many of us are thrilled are behind us. I think about a lot of the two-step distributors out there. Their value beforehand was putting products on a truck and bringing it to a lumberyard. But when the builders started shrinking up and all those mortgages went sideways and lumberyards went out of business because they ran out of cash because the builders weren't paying them, there were a lot of two-step distributors that took the role of bank for their dealers. And they helped supply a line of cash and a line of credit to allow those dealers to continue to stay open. And through that, they brought tremendous loyalty from those dealers. They never forgot, hey, when I was in arrears, when my business was in a bad way, you stood behind me beyond just simply bringing me product. And if you're bringing a builder a service besides product on a truck, you're a resource, you're finding other ways to bring them value. You're not just giving up because you can't get the product there. They'll remember that. And now you're adding value beyond the material that goes on the truck to their job site.
So really, you need to be invested in them because their business is your business.
Their business is very much your business. How great is it when you can walk into a customer and not bring them a problem, but bring them a solution? What does it say about you when you can walk into your builder or your remodeler or your deck builder and say, hey, I can't get you XYZ decking. So I called around town, and between this guy and this guy, they're able to put your square footage together. They're going to think to themselves, he just saved me the need from calling around to other people. That's the type of person I want to do business with. He didn't care if he got the sale or not. He cared about my business and getting it done. When you find other ways to bring your customers value, they will remember it. They will stay loyal to you. And quite frankly, they'll probably pay you more for doing it as well.
And that's such a great point. That's something I've said time and time again. Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. That's what we need. Solutions are what gets us to the next step, that gets us forward, that gets us where we need to be. Real quick, Tom, I want to recap here. So we've got first step, mindset matters. Second step, minimize surprises. Third step is don't accept silence. The fourth step is be a consultant. And then the fifth step is play the long game. What else do we need to know when we're dealing with product shortages?
The biggest thing is I'm going to come back to, you hit the 5 points. You can be the victor or you can be the victim. It's your choice. Are you going to put yourself in a position to provide value, or you recognize that this isn't just, a rain cloud over my head? This is part of our industry. And so how am I going to buckle down, work hard, be honest, and show my customer I care about them? One of the best ways you can show a customer you care is a gift you can give them called listening and understanding. And when you listen and understand, you find more ways to bring value. I would say with anything, we're in uncharted territories. Create an assumption and have a plan. Those 5 steps are a plan to work from that you can go through and prepare yourself for that conversation with that builder. You can prepare yourself to have that right message and your next steps thought out, as opposed to it being a surprise and hitting you in the face. Having a plan to work from gives you a level of confidence walking into any meeting, and you'll be able to add more value and take care of your builders better.
Tom, this is all great information. This brings a lot of value to these current situations we're in. If listeners want to find out more or want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to do that?
So, they can absolutely go to my website, which is shift-stc, S as in sales, T as in training, C as in consulting.com. They can follow me or find me on LinkedIn, both either as Tom Zimmerman or through the Shift Sales Training Consulting. Email me directly at tzimmerman@shift-stc.com.
Tom, I will make sure we get all that in the show notes. I want to thank you again. I appreciate you sharing all this information and sharing your time with us today.
Thanks for the opportunity, Brett. I enjoyed it as always. Thank you.
This is the Building the Future podcast. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please like and share. You can find out more at our website, www.buildingthefuturepodcast.com. Together we are building the future.